Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew chapter 5 verse 9. It is with great sorrow and a broken heart that we announce the passing of our beloved father, husband, brother, uncle, and friend, Wilson Titus Francis, also known as Tall, Tall Boy, Yellow, Blade, and Devil, originally from Deriso but resided in Tampa, Florida. He passed away in Tampa on Monday, 23rd June 2025, at the age of 62. He was predeceased by his father, Dickens Francis, and mother, Veronique Florita Francis of Deriso, left to mourn his loving wife, Dawn Lesmore Francis, originally of Micoud, but resides in Tampa, Florida. Son, Bobby Francis, in the USA. Daughter, Vina Francis, better known as Pinky, of Deriso. Grandchildren, Sienna and Davina Frederick of Deriso. Peligria Francis, Jonathan Francis Jr., Titus Francis, Janae Francis, Jalen Francis, Jazer Francis, Kenidra Richards, who is also his goddaughter, Alexis and Kiana Richards, all of Florida. His stepchildren, Donna Richards and Kyle Peter, both of Florida. Brothers Gregory Francis and Ryan Francis, also known as Pussy, in England. Mario Francis, also known as Rio, in Florida. Ferdinand Francis, also known as Forbes, and Clyde Francis, also known as Clydie, in St. Thomas. Hyacinth Francis, also known as Joe or Joe Boy. Thomas Francis, also known as Tomo or GT, of Deriso. David Shakes Christopher. Sisters Elizabeth Mathre and Cynthia Charles, both in England. Colette Francis and Bernadette Francis, also known as Sister, of Deriso. Aunts Teresa Montoute, also known as Itis, and family of Saltibus. Phyllis Monrose and family of Canada. Jane Isaac, also known as Myra, and family of Castries. Mary Peterson, also known as Gurley and family. Matilda Jeffresois, also known as Atida and family. Suzanne Jeffresois, also known as Velta and family. Teresa Laporte, also known as Tata, all of the USA. Nephews, Mark Francis and family. Yariden Morrison and family. Simon Francis. Jamal Francis and family. Nathan Francis and Malik Francis of the British Army. Nathan Turrell Francis, all in England. Maureen Francis and family of Guyana. Mikai Francis of Tortola. Dickens Francis and Isaiah Francis of St. Thomas. Jeremiah Francis of Orlando, Florida. Ahmed Francis, who is also his godson. Fabian Jean-Baptiste, Asa Francis, and L.J. Francis, all of Deriso. Kevon Lesmore of Micoud, but resides in Florida. Jace Jules of Micoud. Ethan Kisaki, who is also his godson, and Lucas King of Florida. J.J. in St. Croix, Jaden, Jonai, Josiah, and Josiah Lesman of Texas. Nieces, Amanda Toussaint and family. of England, Samantha Charles Henry and family, Lorraine Charles Henry and family, Kadisha Francis, all of England, Vanessa Willie and Naomi Francis of New York, Kimberly Francis, Claudine Francis, and Kimali Francis of Deriso, Sasha Francis, also known as Florence and family of Miku, Aaliyah Francis of St. Thomas, Mia Francis in Tortola, Kaylee and Kemma Lesmo, Niraya Kisaki, all of Florida, Jonaya and Jonila Lesma of Texas, Persita St. Ange of Yefo, mother of his children, Sophia Francis in New York, mother-in-law, Ethel Lesmo Daniel of Miku, but resides in St. Croix, father-in-law, Michael Donis King and wife Mary King of Miku, sons-in-law, Cephas Faisal of Deriso and Conroy Richards of Florida, brothers-in-law, Michael Mumbai of England, Linus Edward, also known as Pino of Tortola, Hilaire Lesmo and family of Miku, but resides in St. Croix, Meldon Lesmo of Miku, but resides in Florida, Jonah Fuss Lesmo of Miku, but resides in Texas, Donovan King of Miku, sisters-in-law, Jane Francis of England, Maureen Francis of Florida, Euphemia Charles and Marcia Francis of Deriso, Vita Francis of St. Thomas, Louise Kisaki and family of Florida, Michelle King and family of Miku, his other godchildren, Alna Sherabin of Tiroche and Ethan Kisaki of Florida, close cousins, Linda Francis and family both here and abroad, Shirley Alphonse and family of Deriso, Josephine Fraser, also known as Teacher Cynthia and family, both here and abroad, Andrew Malcolm and family, both here and abroad, Mary Jimmy of New York, DJ Stormy of Saltibus, aunts-in-law, Frances Lesmore, Mary Favrier, Sylvia Fenton, Celia Camille, Audrey Evans, Angela Burke and their families of Miku, but resides in the USA. Uncles-in-law, Albert Gaspar, Ethelbert Lesmo and their families of Miku, but resides in St. Croix. Alan and family of Tiroche Miku. Close friends. Dennis Louis, also known as Pryor and family of Corinth Gurzelay, Alvin and family of St. Thomas, Gerard Japol, also known as Dole of Moncaya and Vieux, Benjamin Martelli, also known as Benji and family of Monrepo, Althea Victorin, and Kevin Martelli of New Jersey, Andrew Frederick, also known as Poe or Tipo, and Samson Eugene, also known as Sampolo of Deriso, Onan Jules of Miku, Lunch, Glenn, Tyler, Ashley, Wallace, Gilbert of Florida, Valence and family, and Nick and family of Florida, Sharon James Alexander of New Jersey, June and family of Florida, Kenneth Joseph, also known as Sarge of Deriso, Sadiq and family of Balka, Dawo, and Simeo of Tiroche Miku, Aja of Canada, Frances Lesmo and family of Miku, but resides in Florida. Kiefer Lesmo of Miku, but resides in New York. Curtis Ogis, also known as Lache of Deriso, but resides in New York. Marcellus Pamphil and family in New York. George Ephraim and family. Ivenia and Ivy Ephraim and family. Marlene Pamphil and family. Tony Tobier, Debbie Toussaint, and Iona Malcolm, all of Deriso. Mary Jean-Baptiste of St. Thomas, Mr. Paddy of Pierrot, Francis Reynolds and family of Moshi, Quincy Joseph of England, Marla of Kiss FM, Marlon and Jordan of Hot FM. Fraser, proprietor of the Pork Place in Opico. Also left to mourn the families of the late uncles and aunts, namely Rudolph Stephen, Oliver Stephen, Fitz Stephen, Roy Stephen, Robert Francis, McLean and Franklin Johnny, Marcelita Johnny and Mayor of Labrie, Rachel of Miku. Also left to mourn his co-workers of J.E. Dunn Construction of Florida, the Francis family, the Tobier family, the Lay family, the Johnny family, the Vaval family, the James family, the Hercules family, the Malcolm family, the Lesmo family, the Jimmy and Serrier family of Miku, the Pamphil family, the Boston family, both here and abroad. Many other relatives and friends, both here and abroad, too numerous to mention. The funeral service of the late Wilson Titus Francis, also known as Tall, Tall Boy, Yellow, Blade, and Devil, will be held on Friday, 1st August 2025 at the Holy Cross Parish, Deriso, at 1:30 p.m. And then the body will be laid to rest at the Deriso Cemetery. The body now lies at Lazarus Funeral Home, New Dock Road, VA4. Please note that the family requests to wear a touch of orange. Also, buses will be parked near the Idlers in Miku at 12 p.m. to transport persons to the church, cemetery, and back to Miku. May he rest in perfect peace.